Game face. Welcome to Talk Sit About. Today's guest is Gareth. Now, Gareth, we are tangentially related.
Yeah, it's a long. I'd say it's a long. What? How would you say? Maybe 6 removed cousin.
6 removed cousin.
Yeah, something like
We're
that.
have you ever watched The Sopranos? We are cousins in the same way that Tony Soprano and Christopher Moltisanti are uncle and nephew. It's really, we're essentially not related at all. It's so convoluted.
I'd say we look more like each other than the blood ties.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, a couple of handsome, tall guys. Yeah, got the face shape going on. Got the long face.
I think we're going to have you as a
got
guest more
I think
often.
you've got a coming face.
His second name's Coming. I just want to make that very clear. But I do have a coming face. We'll go into that maybe in another video series. I just want to make an apology, first of all,
Okay.
for kicking off a new YouTube format during a global pandemic at the height of the advent of a new variant
Exactly.
that involves 2 people sitting so close to each other
Very
that they
much
are
so.
essentially spitting in each other's mouths.
Yes, exactly. So one is going to die.
It's like COVID. Welcome to COVID dodgeball. Yeah, so I'm sorry about that. And if we both get really sick, I'm sure the 8 views that this video is going to get will make it all worthwhile.
Exactly, and Heather should be fine about it if we have to cancel all our Christmas plans. So
Oh yeah, of course. I'd spent half an hour talking about Ghostbusters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
You
maybe
miserable
more.
Grinch.
Maybe less, maybe more.
Maybe
I mean, there
less.
should be a lot to talk about.
Wait,
you
I'm
know.
conscious. Do you want to forgive us? So you can, because I don't
I'm
want
looking
you-
that way.
You're looking that way. Would you like to straddle the chair? You can sit like this. It's very. There's an ulterior motive to this format.
I heard you talking.
We're touching.
I heard you talking about Ghost in the last one, and I thought to myself, well, "This is very ghost-like."
All we need is a clay pot.
Yeah.
We don't have a clay pot. We'll improvise. Gareth, if you could unbutton your trousers. Whoa! No, there's something wrong with this. Gareth is actually, his thighs are over my thighs. How did this work with my sister? And are you comfy with this?
Yeah,
Will we get used to it?
absolutely. Yeah,
it's an intimate show.
You can't see the legs, so
You can't see the
know,
legs.
or that I'm beating you off right now.
Just well, right. Okay, that threw me. So we're here to talk about Ghostbusters.
Absolutely. Thanks for letting me talk about Ghostbusters.
That's all right. Thanks for sexually straddling me in a very close, intimate way. That makes me very happy.
Well, I've had less interesting Tuesdays.
So we're here to talk about Ghostbusters Afterlife. Gareth, why don't we start by just what did you think of the movie?
I loved it. The new one.
The new one.
The new one, I absolutely loved it. I completely prepped for the 1984 one. But, the new one is what The Force Awakens does for Star Wars, but it does it better. It lifts everything. It transplants it into today. It's like all the same guys. It's the same baddies. It's the same story almost, and they just plop it in a new part of town.
See, that's what I didn't like. I'll tell you. There's 2 films I've watched this year.
I'm not saying Force Awakens was a great thing.
It was good. I liked the Force Awakens.
It's like it's a very healthy kind of franchise reboot, I'd say. But I like what they did with Afterlife. It really is sort of homage, and it's what the fans of Ghostbusters really wanted, I would say.
I'm with you to a point, but I've watched. Why don't you put your legs to this side and I'll put my legs to the other side?
It's really bothering them, the fact that I've got my legs all over them.
I know. It's just right. Okay.
Let's do it.
And then remember and bring your chair.
In.
Your chair. Right. That's it. Right. How's that? That's a bit less weird. I miss the heat of your legs on mine though.
Thank God you turned the heating off.
Right. I'm not cuddling them. I'm just moving you. I don't want your head to be like off camera. This is very unprofessional. I don't like to. Can I just check that you're in the you're in the right place? Yeah, that's fine. Then you're fine. You're fine.
Spot on.
Right. Yes, I have watched 2 films this year. That when I was watching them, I had one reaction. I felt something at the time, and on reflection, I flipped it. One of those movies was Pig. I don't know if you've seen that.
No, I've read a bit about that.
Nicolas Cage. I think when I watched it, I thought it was the biggest pile of anticlimactic, pretentious wank that I'd ever seen.
Mm.
I think part of the problem was, you see Nicolas Cage in a movie, his output of late, you expect it. The plot is Nicolas Cage has a truffle pig that he uses to get truffles that he sells on. His pig gets taken.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's a Nicolas Cage movie, there is the expectation it's going to be one of these, you shouldn't have taken my damn pig.
Like John Wick kind of thing.
Yes, Nicolas Cage is going to pull a shotgun out of his trench coat and kind of... But it's actually a very slow lamentation on grief and loss and love. And I think watching, because I was expecting Nicolas Cage to go tonto at any moment. I was like, there's a twinkle in his eye, he's going to fucking go nuts, he's going to kill people. It doesn't happen.
He's going to do that Wogan introduction.
Yeah, but never happened. And I was disappointed. And I thought the film was very, very pretentious. There's like whole scenes where it's like 5 minutes of him slowly eating a sandwich, like 5 minutes slowly walking back to his shack with mournful music. But a couple of scenes that are like there for scene of the year, like really, there's a scene in a restaurant where he has an encounter with, he used to be a chef, he has an encounter with a new chef, and he basically tears the guy down and builds him up and gives him a profound human experience, and I was gobsmacked.
Right.
It was beautiful, but I thought the film was shit. But afterwards, I've been thinking about it, reading stuff about it. 360. I'm like, I need to watch it again.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
there's so many movies like that. I just went and saw French Dispatch, and that's probably the most Wes Anderson film of all time. It's going to take about 2 or 3 viewings, probably.
Yeah, and I think because I thought Nicolas Cage film, I wasn't prepared to put the work in. I just wanted to be mindless entertained. So, Ghostbusters Afterlife. When I was in the theatre, I was there with my sister and my 2 kids. I loved it, and I almost shed a tear at the end. We'll get into spoilers later.
Tears. There were tears.
It was very emotional.
There was tears. I mean, I wasn't. Yeah, the spoilery thing and stuff. What happens at the end was slightly kind of telegraphed in there. Wasn't quite the thing that set me off, but we can get to the end later.
We'll get to the end later. But I felt all those things, and then over time, over the next week, I grew to feel shortchanged by it, and I don't think I like it.
What about the kids? What did the kids think?
Oh, they loved it. You could put again a guy waving a balloon on a stick with a face on it and like showing his bum every 6 minutes, and they'd like it. So we don't. Their judgment doesn't count.
My kids liked it, and that it can't always be said for going to the cinema. You know, they've been going to the cinema since they're like 6 months old. You know, so it takes something pretty good to keep them entertained when they're in there. But no, they really enjoyed it. Lots of laughs going on. I think for me, right from the start, there was all these. You know, it was like almost the soundtrack of Ghostbusters came back. You know, like tonally, the score and all that. There was hints of it, and very soon you were back in that franchise again.
Was there a part of you that like you knew the legacy characters wouldn't have like a starring role, but there was like every 50 minutes I was like, well, where's Ray? Where's
no,
Peter?
I expected them all, even some dearly departed ones, but I wasn't ready for the bill. I mean, I'd kept away from a lot of the
speculation.
Yeah, and trailers. Not that they would put that in a trailer, but you know, some of the goss about it as well. I stayed away from that kind of stuff. And I know that there was all sorts of wranglings and contractual things, but possibly that was all just chat to make you think he wasn't going to be there. But yeah, it was pretty awesome.
And a bit goofy when. Okay, so why don't we? Well, there's one thing I was going to say first. You were talking about how your kids responded to it, and then maybe you think, just like with Star Wars, maybe it's for the kids now. There was a conscious kind of pass. The movie featured kids. It was
exactly,
very much. I think, to me, Ghostbusters Afterlife wasn't a Ghostbusters film. It was a film about Ghostbusters. It was very meta, and I'll get into more of that later. And yeah, the kids liked it. You can say, oh, it's a kids' film. Yeah. But there's a misunderstanding here, because although we're of a similar age, we got swept up in Ghostbusting fever.
Absolutely,
when we were little. But Ghostbusters is not and never was a kids film. We were just of an age.
Yeah.
Like, and we know the reasons why it wasn't a kids film when we try and watch it with our kids now.
Yeah.
They all fucking smoke.
Yeah.
Oh, everyone in the 80s smoked, even in like, I don't know, Lassie and stuff like that. But,
what, even the dog smoked?
even the dog, especially the dog, yeah, he was getting a kickback for getting involved in animal testing because that's why I always had diamond collars. There was the smoking, there was, again, this was a staple of the 80s, the world has moved on. Peter Venkman was a horrible lech, bordering on a sexual harasser. When you look back now.
I know. But the thing is, I really struggled to, I mean, I would probably say, yes, change that street sign, bring down that statue, you know, but there's something in me that just says I can't start cancelling.
Oh no, I'm not.
You know,
I love Ghostbusters. I'm not. But
I can't even start to pick it up for its misdemeanors. I can't bring myself to do it. It seemed like the perfect movie. I mean, I was only 5. I mean, coincidentally, we're doing this 36 years to the day when it was released in the UK.
That's right.
Along with Gremlins.
Another great film.
So I was 5. Just to quickly run through, I mean, how massive Ghostbusters was for me, I'd say, having grown up in a house where, with my brother and cousins, the Star Wars thing was well established. Indiana Jones was well established. So Ghostbusters for me was the dawning of, you're going to the cinema to see something. It's not already been. There's no one that can tell you all about it already before you go. It was my first trip to the cinema.
Really? That was the first film you ever saw?
I am 99% sure that's the first trip to the cinema. If there was another trip to the cinema, then the Ghostbusters trip was certainly the one that sticks in my mind, for the reason that obviously it's winter time. We were in Glasgow. It was dark. There was a queue round the building like 2 or 3 times.
Really?
In a cinema that's now gone. And you wait in the cold, you get in, and there's the foyer, there's the big red carpet, there's shiny gold handrails everywhere, the kiosk, and the twinkling lights above you and all that. And it's really stuck with me. It's like a big moment, you know, and a sort of love for going to the cinema was born from there. So it's definitely an important movie for me in that aspect, yeah. It's really sort of stamped in there.
Which I can see, and that's why I think, not only do I think this is not a Ghostbusters film, but a film about Ghostbusters, I think it's made, Jason Reitman, who is the son of the guy who directed the original Ghostbusters, co-wrote Ghostbusters Afterlife and directed it. So
what else did Jason do? Because obviously Ivan was the dad.
Jason hasn't, to be honest, he hasn't done much. I'm kicking myself. I wish I had IMDb to hand. But he was a little boy on the set, so there was a lot of nostalgia for him. I think he made it for the boy he was watching Ghostbusters. I think he made it for the kids of today, and I think he made it for the kids that people like us were. And that shows. And my issue is, you told me you hadn't seen the 2016 film.
No.
It's fucking terrible. Like, not even if Ghostbusters hadn't existed and that was an original film, but there is an element of, at least they tried to do something semi-original. But I think the 2016 reboot, because the original characters were in it, playing different characters. They just got a nod. Bill was in it.
They were all there.
Bill was in it playing a fraudulent psychic.
Harold was still
Harold was sadly dearly departed. So
he was really the sort of the genesis, right? Wasn't he? Harold? He was the man that kind of got this project off the ground, I think.
He was indeed. And I've got more to say about Mr. Ramis. Is it Ramis or Ramis?
I don't know. I'm going to say Harold Ramis.
Can I say Ramis? Just to be different. Harry. Just call him Harry. So, the 2016 film, the Paul Feig, or if that's his name, the Bridesmaids guy, he thought, okay, Ghostbusters is funny. Probably the funniest bits in Ghostbusters were Bill Murray's deadpan. So he's thinking, Ghostbusters was funny, so I'm going to get 4 funny women and just let them ad lib and do...
Were they all a bit too cool though? I mean, were all the characters a bit too cool? Because that's what I like about the original movie, was that I feel everyone, and that's a contentious point as well because of the race questions that have came since the 1984 one. I think everyone was broadly represented. In the
What do you mean?
in the 84, because you had like Ray, who was just, he was a little heart, wasn't he? And he was
almost naive and childlike, and
very
excitable.
Yeah, like a kind of Labrador pup, and nobody really got him, and you could tell that he was hurt. And then Harold, or rather Egon, was like super brainy and kind of nerdy, and Bill was the mouthpiece, exactly. Winston came in and was, well, kind of filled the role, right? I mean,
well, I think Winston was meant to be our entry point character, like our.
If you were to join the Ghostbusters,
yeah, he was sort of responding to it, and so the 2016 film leaned into the comedy, which although Ghostbusters was a very funny film, it wasn't just. It was a comedy, but it wasn't just a comedy, and they leaned too far into it, and it was silly, and it was puerile, and it was infantile, and there was too many wisecracks, like really shit wisecracks, and all the characters were at it. Like Egon was very funny, but he was a straight man. Ray was, I mean, it was very funny sometimes when Egon broke that. They deliberately made him sort of tell a little wry joke, but it was just Bill Murray. It wasn't all four of them, and it's messy, it's noisy, it's cluttered. So it misunderstands what makes a Ghostbusters film. And the 2016 film didn't lean enough into the legacy. I think it hurt them by disassociating themselves entirely.
Trying to do something different, but with all the same parts or something.
Yeah, correct. But I think that the Ghostbusters Afterlife, they've gone for, although there were jokes, to be honest, I didn't think the film was that funny. And in the cinema, especially the thing with Egon's granddaughter when she was...
she was great.
She was brilliant in the part, I loved her, but the whole shtick about being socially awkward and trying to tell the jokes when she was joking to Gozer and kind of... I didn't think that... and there were lots of moments like that.
I mean, the Little Guy podcast was amazing, but...
He was funny.
But, maybe I wasn't like off that mindset when I was that young. I just don't recall so many knowing, clever conversations when I was that fucking young.
Yeah, that's true. But I know there was some laughter in the cinema when...
There was, and I liked it.
But it was moronic... Oh, it was as if they'd held up they're going, oh that sounds like it was a bit funny, I should laugh. Like it wasn't
a wee social laugh.
It was like the expectation is that we should laugh. I know this, it's got a beat like a joke, it might not be funny, but fuck it, I'm going to laugh.
Yeah, and I think that's maybe what it's like, say somebody like Kermode is taking some exception to. He just found it really clunky in the sense that they just lifted everything from the first movie, put it in the desert, and said, well, they're all back again. So everything you loved about Ghostbusters is back again. I
haven't watched Kermode's thing, but I agree with him.
I didn't have an issue with it. I didn't have an issue with it. I didn't have an issue when I watched Force Awakens, which was even a more blatant plagiarist move than Ghostbusters.
I enjoyed Force Awakens.
I enjoyed it as well.
But I don't know. But this film leans too hard into legacy, and like Ghostbusters was never a balls out, gross out, laugh a minute comedy.
With the balls almost.
Well, the balls off in the 2016 reboot, but neither was it an earnest kind of deep, not deep, but you know what I mean, tugging at your heartstrings, like a kind of emotional film. So I think both films missed the mark.
Yeah, no, you're right, and I'll be honest, it sounds like a kind of weird, daft, wanky thing to say, but what I was getting emotional at towards the end, and there was a couple of things that they've crowbarred in there just to try and pluck the heartstrings. But for me, I felt as if seeing those guys so old, having that story retold, it felt as if you were kind of slightly mourning a little bit for kind of your childhood life.
There is, and that's one of the things. Like I felt all those things. I was emotionally affected by it, but afterwards, I started to feel like tricked.
Like you'd been.
Do you know? It's like
someone touched you up.
Like someone well. No, we can explore that later. It's like Reitman had put an IV drip in me and just
turned on
put a bag of nostalgia. Here's some fucking childhood. Do you know? And it was.
I don't mind that. It's been so long since Ghostbusters 2. I don't think they could have just. I mean, do you think they've got a duty to come up with all new bads, all new storylines? I mean, I think they had enough to contend with just rebooting it for today.
I think it really suffered with not having the Ghostbusters the original Ghostbusters, front and centre. And I know why they didn't. Bill Murray. As much as I love the guy, I mean, there was Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd were very were working on Ghostbusters 3, but every step of the way, Bill Murray was like, nah.
Yeah,
and then he
he was.
fell out with Harold Ramis.
He's done that forever, hasn't he? I mean, he's famously the most hard guy to contact unless you're Wes Anderson, who I think shares a bunk bed with him. And he's got like a bat phone, I think, Bill.
I think so.
So he only answers the phone if he knows who's calling or something weird like that. So, yeah,
But here's my thing, right? So, Bill Murray, now I understand it to a point, because Ghostbusters 1 was great. I've got a lot of affection for Ghostbusters 2. I know it was more commercialised, it was more kind of... I like it. I love it. Especially, I mean, obviously...
It's such a quotable film.
Yes.
It's incredible.
And
Amazing.
it gets a bit silly towards the end, but I still love it. But the first bit where they're picking up from their sort of shattered, diminished reputations, and some
when they're
really
doing
good
the kids'
stuff.
parties and
When
stuff.
they're doing the kids' parties,
It's brilliant.
and it's Jason Reitman who says,
Oh,
"Hey,
yeah.
man, even my dad."
Of course it is, because I mean the Reitmans have got a distinctive look, like they've
I'm
been.
saying Reitman, is it Reitman?
Who cares?
Reitman,
And,
Ramis, Ramis, does a fuck.
They look as if they've been smacked about the face with a spade. Yeah.
So Bill Murray is the sticking point here, and I get it to a point, but it kind of feels like if they'd just done a film where they passed it with or without Harold Ramis, with them as older Ghostbusters, kind of passing for some contrived reason they have to restart the franchise. They could have had the younger characters. They could even have had Egon's grand. I just think, but Bill Murray.
The other characters weren't like as impactful as the Ghostbusters were in the first movie. Because they're young kids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The little family dynamic was kind of interesting. The kind of down on her heels shit mother. And the kids who kind of affected that was cool, but no, you're right. I mean, the main characters didn't have that same draw.
No, but I understand Bill Murray to a point. He said after, I mean, he's very vocal about Ghostbusters 2 and how it was.
He's got a touch of the Alex.
Alec Guinness.
Yeah, he's got a touch of the Guinnesses about him when it comes to.
He resents.
Back.
He's like, that was just a movie to me.
Yeah,
what the fuck are you getting? So I'm not going to do it again. It's a job.
Yeah.
But where he falls down a little, he's like, do you know what? I'm not going to do Ghostbusters 3 because my artistic integrity is too powerful. I'm not going to make a fool of myself. I'm not doing some commercialised cash cow. Go fuck yourself. And then someone went, Bill, do you want to do Garfield? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Why did Garfield and Garfield 2? And yet you don't do Ghostbusters 3. Why the fuck not? Why couldn't? Because it seems like...
strange, eh?
It is strange. And little fun fact, the real Ghostbusters cartoon, I know you probably grew up
absolutely
watching that.
I mean, Egon had fucking white hair, did he not?
He had blonde hair.
Yeah.
That's right. But the guy that did the voice for Peter Venkman in the cartoon sounded a lot like Bill Murray, like a kind of also did the voice for Garfield in the cartoon.
Really?
And then Bill Murray comes along and does the voice for the live action Garfield. Isn't that's a nice little...
That's a little kind of weird thing going on synergy there. Yeah, I didn't know that.
It's cool. So can we recap the plot? We can just... there's going to be spoilers
for
point.
Afterlife.
For Afterlife. Just a brief rundown if you want to...
Well, yeah, let's kick it off then. So... but you can jump in and jog me along here. So we've got a family of 3, mother, 2 young kids. Why are they kicked out to the?
She can't afford to pay rent.
She can't afford to pay the rent.
And I think Egon has just died. At the start of the film, you see Harold Ramis is obviously dead, but it's very clear that it's Egon. He's trying to bust some ghosts. He's doing something in an old farmhouse in the arse end of nowhere.
Yeah.
And the ghost gets him, and he's dead. So it switches to his daughter and granddaughter and grandson.
So the ghost is probably it's Gozer, right?
It must be. So they
that nimble little minx.
gets around, doesn't it? She, it.
Whatever she wants to be.
Whatever she wants to be. It's 2021. So, be proud, Gozer. So that's what in the will, that old rickety farmhouse in Iowa or wherever the hell it is.
Which is a shit tip.
It is a shit tip. Yep.
But so yeah, I mean, carry on with the Carry on talking about.
All right, so
Afterlife.
they go out and we see an appearance from Janine. She comes in as a kind of.
That's one thing that's always threw me about the Ghostbusters, right? Janine's character, she was getting it on with Egon.
She was.
She was trying. She was kind of.
She had a wee thing with Rick Moranis.
She was reading her book. She was this kind of intellectual, picking up the phone was too much trouble for her. And then Ghostbusters 2 comes along, and she's incredibly dippet. Yeah, and she's trying to bed Lewis Tully.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange, right? I mean, that character for me was kind of. That was confused from 1 to 2.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought about that.
Mm-hmm. It was, she's back. They're all back.
They're all
Everyone's back.
Oh, do you know what we were talking about before we continue? Bill Murray's sexual predatory. Not Bill Murray, Peter Venkman. Did you stick around for the
very end?
The very end.
The very end. Yes.
Everyone left, and I was like, hold on.
I'd been told to stay.
I didn't know, but I didn't know there was 2 of them.
Yeah,
so we missed the second one, but the first one. What we were saying about Peter Venkman's predatory instincts, they did a nice little scene with Sigourney Weaver.
They
that
did.
Not only suggested that they become a couple,
mm-hmm.
but it was a retread of the psychic test where they hooked up to the electrodes.
Yeah.
It's almost like they knew that scene was a bit ropey by today's standards, so they turned it on its head and made Peter Venkman the butt of the joke.
I don't think they needed to do that.
I liked it. I thought that was nice. It was a nice little moment.
I mean, I always assumed that they were going to be a couple anyway after Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But the second cutscene, which or mid-credit scene, whatever you want to call it, I wish I'd seen it because the idea encased in that, which I gather is Winston taking on the franchise, that should have been the fucking idea for this movie. That's how it should have started.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was really odd as well, sitting and getting interviewed by Janine. At the end, right? And
I never saw it. I just know that's the content of.
So you never saw the Winston interview?
No.
But the Sigourney one comes later.
No, the Sigourney one's first.
Was Sigourney first, and then Winston? Well, there you go.
We walked out feeling all smug. We saw it. No one else did.
Well, I just found it an incredibly strange little scene at the end. I don't really know what it's adding in unless they're going to build on that, and I can't see how they're going to do that. So
I think is the just not that Winston's going to run with the ball and set up a franchise.
Well, he's bought the
fire station.
The fire station now, yeah. So
I think that's what it should have been. It should have been the older Ghostbusters, and I think that was an original idea for Ghostbusters.
We don't want to give Winston too big a part, though.
Oh no, I think he deserves that.
I mean, it's been such a massive bone of contention since '84. And I'm going to come across as some sort of cunt now, but I mean, I just don't think that. I struggled. I kind of struggled with the whole, tokenism thing of Winston.
Yeah.
No, I did struggle with it because, I mean, there was so many movies at the time where representation wasn't a thing. He's undeniably in the film. The Ghostbusters could have easily worked without him. So. They made that choice. I don't know if they made it late or maybe apparently it was a funding thing.
They cut a lot of scenes. Apparently he was supposed to be in it more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll give him a break.
No, I mean, I'll give Winston a break. I think the actor had an issue with not being on the poster.
Well,
do you think that's probably fair?
Probably.
If
you were the fourth Ghostbuster.
He comes into the movie halfway through. I mean, they'd made the posters before they decided they had to stick him in there.
They had to stick him in there.
Yeah, dangerous territory.
Yeah. Welcome to the celluloid Reich, where we discuss. No.
But it was '84, all right.
It was a different time.
It was a different time, and I don't know. I mean, you can't really pick up "It's a Wonderful Life" for not, having too many. I'm going right off piece here.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, I thought the lack of BAME representation in that movie was woeful, and I think it's a historic injustice that still shames us all.
No, I mean, I think New York, right, coming out of the period it was coming out of.
Yeah, New York wasn't very ethnically diverse. Hardly any black people there.
Well, no, but I think, not at all. I mean, for me, part of the appeal of watching Ghostbusters,
all white people,
segueing away from the racial discussion, was having a look at this new world that you'd only heard things about. I mean, Christ, 5-year-old, right? And looking at this massive metropolis, and then realising
it spoils it when black people come into it, doesn't it?
Fuck
I'm going to
off.
stop now.
And seeing this new world, which looked very much like older than our world, and that was kind of a strange thing to see, and then to see, you know, like I think with Ghostbusters, at the time it was made, New York is gentrifying basically, like, you know, the city. Trump's got his hands on things. You know, the city's changing. You've got the advent of maybe a kind of sort of yuppie class as well. I think that's maybe represented in Lewis Tully a little bit.
Yeah, good point.
And you've got some, you know, you've got the kind of dyed-in-the-wool blue collar aspect of it as well.
They're working class schlubs.
Yeah.
Despite their academic pretensions, they basically are glorified exterminators.
Exactly.
And they're not glamorous, and they're only heroes by default and by accident. They sort of lumber, although they have the speech in the prison. They basically are reluctant heroes, especially Peter Venkman, who's just sort of like,
so.
fuck it, I
He's
guess
just
we're going
like,
to
that's just kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
like
spoiling his chi a little bit, hanging about with these geeks.
it's very downplayed, it's very earthy. Again, that's and I think
as you can smell the coffee on their breath, you know, there's fagged out kind of all over the place, and coffee stained mugs and all that kind of stuff.
Of course,
it does scream of New York, and it really kind of opened up. Well, everything that came after that, you know, you're punctuating movies by places you've seen, and movies like Ghostbusters, and you're building up this 3D image of New York in your head ever since you've watched Ghostbusters, you know.
Well, you actually went on a pilgrimage, didn't you, with your family?
So we went in 4 or 5 years ago, and one day I decided I was going to try and trawl through some of the locations. Didn't take the tour. You can take the tour, and so we went to the fire station, Hook and Ladder or something like that it's called now. It's been brought up again. I think all the Tribeca.
What is it? What do they use it for? Is it like
what do they use it for now?
Strip club or something?
Massive pole.
Slimer.
I don't know what they do now. It was a working fire station for a long time, and then when I was there, you know, I dragged the family out to Tribeca. It was a cold day. We've got a baby in a pram, and we took a fucking push buggy to fucking New York.
Did you roll the pram down the road? And Ghostbusters 2, you should have!
Yeah, and no slime or anything like that, no dancing toaster, but we took them out to the fire station. We took ages to get there, freezing cold, pissing with rain, and when we finally got there, it was completely covered in scaffolding. So it was a real bummer. It does really suck. And someone's posted a picture of it now. It looks absolutely Ghostbusters-tastic. It's resplendent in its Ghostbusters look now. So we'll need to go back one day. But there's all manner of scenes. You know, you're walking through Central Park and you can see where, you know, the ghost runs along and he catches that wee trap when he's sitting on the bench. And but most important of all was probably happening across sort of Spook Central, I would say, in 55 Central Park West, and just walking along, heading up north, I think it is, to Natural History Museum, and it appears on the left, and it took my breath away. Literally, just, you know, I was emotional. To stop. The little church that the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is right next to it, the one that he totally cancels, it's a beautiful sight. I mean, it's not anywhere near on the scale that you think it is when you watch the movies.
No, it's Spook Central.
Spook
just
Central.
the whole thing.
No, Spook Central, the actual hotel itself.
They must
very
have done some
small,
clever, like.
But it's a beautiful design. Exactly, it's a beautifully designed building. But the foyer out the front, it's tiny. You know, you just think this hotel's way bigger than it turns out to be. So it was emotional. And then later on, when we were in Central Park, I split off from the family and went and had a wee session on camera and took some photos and stuff. And treasured photos.
Did you split off from the family, or was your wife like, I'm fucking sick of trolling this city looking for Ghostbusters landmarks?
Fucking building again. I took half an hour away just to go and get some snaps and got some beautiful photos. But I think next time I was to go, I would be taking the official tour.
Nice.
which is something you can do. So
That's a testament 36 years later. That's
Absolutely.
still a very popular thing to do. It's like a pilgrimage. If you
Well, take the when Lewis Tully's got the red eyes and he's speaking to the horse and stuff. Just at the bottom of Central Park, you've got those guys. So the city still throws you that old look now and again. You've got the guys with the horses and the horse-drawn carriages, and you can jump on that. So it's almost identical. When you're in certain parts of the city, you could just be in the set for Ghostbusters. It's that good.
And I think that's what it is. You forget. We were talking about this earlier that we're Scottish. We grew up on largely American cinema in iconic locations. You almost forget that America is a real place, because when I was younger, I didn't really know anyone. I didn't know anyone from America. I'd never been to America. It was like this exotic place. So movies and childhood and fantasy all sort of coalesced into one. So walking into New York and it must be like stepping back through time, but also stepping through into Narnia. Sort of dreamscape, and
it's quite incredible. Everyone ought to go once. It's a beautiful place. But I think getting back to I was going to try and get back to the Winston thing, but I think I'll put that one to bed.
Okay. Well, so let's keep. We'll do a very brief summary. So they move out to the arse end of nowhere, and it's Egon's granddaughter, grandson, daughter. He's been estranged from them. He died without having reconnected with them. The daughter is very kind of bitter, but the granddaughter, who is almost like she wears the glasses, she is like Egon incarnate in a little girl form. She's really good.
Very clever.
Yeah. So they try and take root. Well, they don't have a choice. They can't afford to go anywhere else, so they have to make the best of it. The boy tries to get a job, and obviously along the way. The wee girl goes to college where Paul Rudd is a teacher who's a bit of a slacker. I liked his character.
He's not bad.
And he's an amateur seismologist or like some sort of physics
It's
guy.
not the problem that he plays is just Paul Rudd. I mean, there's so many actors that do that, right? I mean, Bill Murray's one for sure.
Well, that's it, exactly. No, Paul Rudd's great in it, and there's a nice dynamic. And she meets a little friend called Podcast that's obsessed with the paranormal, and clues her into the Ghostbuster legacy. And basically, strange things keep happening.
Yeah.
They get embroiled, they find the Ghostbuster car, they find all the equipment, they become like amateur.
There's been a whole bunch of seismic activity going on in the area, there's no fault lines and no one can understand. I think Egon's been working on that, and that's probably what drove him out there, was the fact that all this activity is going on. But also though, this abandoned mine.
Indeed.
Where what was the guy's name? That's where
Igor
Shandor. That's where he's
Ivo Shandor.
That's where he had his first Gozer or Worcestershire basement, or whatever you want to call it.
Experience. Yeah. That was college.
What did we think of the young guy from Stranger Things? Yeah, I mean, I loved him in Stranger Things, right? I mean, the first series of Stranger Things is just.
And the third season is great too. The second one was a bit of a letdown. No, I thought.
It's just like when you have a puppy, the way you just kind of wish that you could keep them that size forever.
Yeah, I'll go with that. But here comes my first gripe, and this leads into my thing of saying that Ghostbusters Afterlife is a film about Ghostbusters more than a Ghostbusters movie.
Right.
Egon, right? We're led to believe, because the granddaughter reaches out to Ray. And there's not just been a schism with Egon's family. The Ghostbusters turned their back on him. He got an idea that the ghosts were going to come back. He took their equipment fucked off out into the middle of nowhere. Yeah. And they were like they like
abandoned him. Yeah.
They were really angry with them. But I don't think that makes sense, because picture the scene. This is a guy with whom you have fought a giant 100-meter tall.
Suddenly now he's fucking a wagon.
Yeah. You've used slime from the sewers that is fed by people's hatred to reanimate the Statue of Liberty and walk it through New York
to Jackie Wilson.
I love that song for that reason. And all of a sudden, that's the most insane stuff that's probably ever happened in that world. And then Egon says, guys,
some crazy shit going out west.
I think there's more ghosts out of this abandoned mine. And they go, you fucking lunatic, get away from us. Fuck off, you're out the team.
Yeah, okay, that doesn't work.
It doesn't make any sense. They would at least go, okay, Egon, maybe you've been a little bit traumatized by this, but we're all friends here. We've saved the world twice. Let's go out and we'll have a little look around. I mean, Paul Rudd is an amateur seismologist. He's there. He knows something funny's going on. There's no fault line. He's like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
Some basic equipment would have proved Egon right. So that's the first thing. And that's why I think the movie is about... Right, I'll say a second thing, and it all ties into the same thing. There's video footage of all that stuff happening that's on YouTube. The Ghostbusters, I know there was the joke in Ghostbusters 2, their legacy's diminished, they're doing children's parties, but really,
they've been
for
dragged
all those reasons, there's no way that if one of the Ghostbusters had saved the world twice, even if he moved out to a remote part of the world, that they'd just be like, he's the dirt farmer. There would be journalists, there would be people following up, there would be people going, that's that fucking guy that was in the Statue of Liberty, remember the guy in the Statue of Liberty? So I think, do you remember the Muppets?
I do remember the Muppets.
Do you remember the reboot? Is it Jason Segel? Is that another Segel?
Yeah.
Jason Segel did it.
Yeah, with Amy Adams.
Yes, and the Walter character.
I love
that is how you do it properly. That was a brilliant film.
Really good.
The subsequent follow-up wasn't that good.
With Gervais.
With Gervais, it wasn't awful, but it was. But that is how you do legacy properly, because it was faithful to the original while also being its new thing. But that movie was about the diminished place that the Muppets had in pop culture. It actively riffed on that. Like no one's, what, the Muppets? Fuck the Muppets, who cares about the... And lots of people our age were like, no, the Muppets. They want to get them back together. I think there was a lot of that vibe in Afterlife. Egon's position out in the desert was almost like society's view of the Ghostbusters. People were like, oh, it's just a duff, just Ghostbusters, just a stupid film from 36 years ago. Nobody cares about it anymore. It's had its day.
You've touched on something, because I don't feel that there was any appreciation that that crazy old dick was our next Ghostbuster.
Yeah.
You know?
But here's the thing. I think the whole estrangement from his family. Look at what he did. So, what sense do you get of how long Egon was in the desert?
It's slightly crowbarred in there. I mean, I would say...
How long was he there for?
I would say he was there, well,
20 years.
Yeah, we're just going to say like 20 years, yeah.
20 years. It doesn't make sense, because what did he do in that time, right?
Well, I mean, the mum, she's got to be, 40, you know, and the youngest kid's got to be like, the oldest kid's got to be, 15 or something, so yeah, 20 years.
20 years. So, and what did he do while he was there? He rigged up a few proton packs in the mine that were triggered as an automatic response.
Yeah, but they only really figured that out towards the end, right?
Yeah, but that's what he did. I mean, that would have taken him, what? I'm no physicist. 3 months, maybe, to get the equipment set up. He prepared a trap underneath the grounds of his house. Because he knew Joseph was coming. Many traps. Again, maybe a year tops. And, okay, you could go, he was waiting because they might come at any time. But then they established, when they were in the mine, that there's a pattern to Gozer's return, and it's every 25 years. So why the fuck did he sit there? He's like, Gozer will be, I better stay here, Gozer will be here in 18 years, just in case. Do you know?
That's just clearly just, I mean, that's new information to poor Egon. It doesn't have all the answers.
Egon would have known that. I mean, it was contrived. They had to have a reason, but Harold Ramis was dead. They had to have a reason that he was out the picture.
I don't think they could afford to shoot in New York now. I mean, back then, I mean, everyone was shooting in New York, and nobody shoots in New York now. So
I don't think it was financial, because I read something that Jason, the director, had that image of a kid driving the Ecto 1 round the cornfield in his head for many, many years.
Yeah. Do you think it suffered a little bit from the fact that we've been getting teased for 3 or 4 years, maybe? I mean, when the fuck did that first clip come out? I mean, must be
a year or two ago.
Nah, longer, man.
Oh, do you think so? Just when it showed the car.
Yeah. Long time.
That's true. There's expectation.
COVID complications, I'm sure.
Well, it was supposed to premiere, I think, in the June of 2020.
Right.
So it was delayed. So I guess some of that was the big.
It did seem to stall a little bit, getting off the ground.
They lost the momentum, so they had to sort of build. Yeah, you're right. There was, and I think it was in Genesis for a lot longer.
Well, that's another thing. I mean, we allowed to say now what happens at the end.
Let's talk about
the apparition. Where Harold Ramis does make an appearance again, and I don't really have a problem with that. You know, we've had Cushing come back.
In Star Wars, you mean?
In Star Wars, we've had a generated Carrie Fisher
Yeah.
coming back as well. Harold Ramis comes back, and I think it's less offensive with Harold because he was the man behind Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And I couldn't say for certain, but I'm pretty sure this has been in the pipe for a long time. So I'm pretty sure Harold Ramis was involved to a high degree before he popped off. So his inclusion doesn't faze me.
No, that was sweet. I thought it was afterwards when I thought about it. I thought it was quite mawkish, but that ties in again with the being a film about Ghostbusters and its legacy and its production, because the way that Dan Aykroyd didn't turn his back on Ramis, but Harold Ramis sort of went out on his own, and especially Bill Murray was like in real life, you go off there, do what you want, do Ghostbusters. I'm not interested anymore.
How much of a fucking slacker is Ray Stanso? He's been getting his rent paid for like 20 years from Winston. He's never even thought to think, who the fuck's paying my rent?
Yeah, that's true. That was a nice little...
The bookshop is cool though.
The bookshop is cool. That
Raise
was
the
nice.
cool books.
It was. But yeah, I kind of... What did you think when... So at the end, the kids... With Egon, there's a sweet-ish that's a bit mawkish moment where Egon's ghost helps his granddaughter assemble the equipment and all that kind of stuff, and the stuff with Gozer starts happening. The stuff going down in the mine.
It's not subtle.
It's not subtle.
It's not subtle.
And it is basically a retread of the first
the
movie.
young girl takes it on her chin remarkably.
Oh, she's great.
She takes the fact that this ghost is basically showing her what to do in a basement in a spooky house that she's just turned up, and probably not even believing ghosts or Ghostbusters, not even knowing who her grandfather was. And then all of a sudden the lamps are moving, pages are turning, and she's getting fed this what to do instructions, but she's just like, hey, fine.
I think that's part of her character. I enjoyed that as part of her character. I wasn't too rankled by that. That's
the thing, right? You can pick holes in Afterlife, and you can. It's so long after the fact. I don't think you can pick holes in the '84 Ghostbusters. Maybe one or two in the follow up, but for me, '84 Ghostbusters is just that perfect. It's a perfect movie. There's no scene in there that I would change, even though we're so much more down the line and so.
No, I love
painfully correct about things these days.
No, I wouldn't change it.
No, you couldn't change anything about it.
Because it's genuinely scary in all the right places. It's very funny. It sets a good mood of dread and a good tone of mischievousness. Yep. It's very it's a very clever movie.
It's a great movie to come into. It's like the golden era of cinema going out on a high. I think the early '80s, mid '80s, the movies that came along, certainly for me felt like the end of the beautiful, lush-looking studio films. But Ghostbusters took it to the next level. The most amazing, sound effects, the soundtrack. Yes, the characters that were in there that weren't sickly, sweet or anything like that. They were real guys. You know.
There was no sentiment in the original Ghostbusters film. None whatsoever, or the second one. Which is why I felt it was maybe I understand what they're doing, but again, it's a film about Ghostbusters.
No, you're right.
It's and I felt tricked. But you're right. There's no sentiment. It's very knowing. It's very sarcastic. It's very kind of I don't know. As you say, very earthy kind of dynamic between the dudes.
But do you think we're going to get Bill and the gang back?
I think that was Bill Murray doing, okay, this is it.
If he smiled more in the 5 minutes he was in Afterlife than he did in the two movies.
It was nice to see. I'll be honest. When I heard it was Bill Murray that spoke first, wasn't it? Because there's a big climactic battle with the ghosts and the kids are trying to fight Gozer. It's a retread of the first movie, even down to the devil dogs taking over the form of taking over Carrie Coon and Paul Rudd, and they're the gatekeeper and the keymaster. Gozer's there. They've reproduced the baddie from the first movie. It is almost beat for beat, which I understand. I would understand more if we didn't have the internet and maybe people hadn't seen the film for 25, 30 years. But people that like Ghostbusters
I watch Ghostbusters once a year. I'll still watch it once a year. I mean, the kids are pretty much switched off it now because they've seen it that much, but I need to go back and I need to watch these. Movies like Ghostbusters for me are like a nice warm blanket, you know, and you need to get under there once a year. There's a few others like that. There's quite a few others like that for me as well, but Ghostbusters is certainly one of those that, you know, it's been there forever.
I want to rewatch Ghostbusters 1 and 2. I don't think I want to rewatch Afterlife. I know some
I don't
people
need to go back and watch Afterlife. Nah, you're right.
It's almost like closing the door. It did serve as an emotional saying to older people like us, that's you done now. That was nice. You can feel what you feel. You can feel the nostalgia of, oh, it's the car. Oh, it's the proton pack. Oh, it's the Twinkie in his pocket.
Yeah, we're different now though. We're a lot older, and we're in the groove of watching these movies that mean so much to us over and over again.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a bookend Afterlife a little bit, but it's a massive thank you to the fans, I think, as well.
It doesn't work as a movie in its own right. Beyond the nostalgia, beyond the nice feelings, beyond the warm blanket feeling. Is it a good movie in its own right?
I don't think it's got. It's a nice movie. It's a nice movie, but without what came before, it's nothing. And I don't think you can build on it either. I don't think you can build on what's going on with these. Well, that's Ghostbusters done now, right? I mean, who else? They're going to have to come up with a new bad, but I don't think you build on that effort that just came out. No, and I don't see.
They will though.
Yeah, that's where they'll start pounding the life out of it. But you know, Ghostbusters, they've got a right. It was so successful. They've got a right to go and, I don't know, kill it now. You know what Star Wars is getting done. They've got a lot of toys to sell. It's a franchise. It's out of everyone's hands. The fans have had their little tickle moment there. We're all happy. We can all walk off into the spooky sunset. But I don't see the legs on building on Afterlife. I really don't.
Yeah, they're going to. Jason Reitman's already talking about bringing back.
Oh yes, and I have heard.
It's Vigo.
Here's Vigo.
There you go.
You will like the buzzing of flies to him.
Yes.
No, who does that? Who's little
the wee guy from Ally McBeal.
He's fantastic in it.
He's good.
Yeah. The right creepy little green card chasing Russian.
He's very American though. He's
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But you know, Ghostbusters 2. Can you talk a bit about that again?
Of course we can.
Just,
it's much maligned, but
what a stunningly ugly man Vigo was. I mean, with that, he's basically a bald long. Yeah. Before they were really popular. And did you not find though that the twins that they used?
Oh, Oscar, the baby.
Mad second name like DeFeffel Johnson or something stupid like that. The child actors, the babies, looked remarkably like the actor that played
Vigo. I can't. I have watched it recently, but I can't. I'll need to check.
And also, I think they got a hard time after Ghostbusters 2 because those children were fucking shitting their pants. Those babies, basically.
Really?
Yeah, they were so scared. I mean, there's nobody can tell me those babies were not genuinely shitting themselves, and I'm sure. Who knows? Maybe they're just like not here anymore because they're so scared of Vigo. But Ghostbusters 2 is class, great follow up.
I love it. I loved it. Mm-hmm. It's got probably more comedic, a lot broader, but I love it. The moment in the courtroom with the Scoleri brothers.
Yeah.
There was a lot of funny lines. A lot of funny lines, especially when Lewis Tully was representing them.
Yeah. And Bill was feeding them his lines. Yeah.
That was, and even just little, you say quotable lines when do re. I love that. And Winston and the.
That was almost enough, really, but there wasn't a long enough break, right? I mean, Ghostbusters 2 could have worked as the closing chapter for Ghostbusters 1.
Yeah,
you know,
it was always, what was it, 4 years, 3 years, something like that.
It wasn't. They were striking while the iron was indeed hot.
I think it was 1989. But let me tell you what genuine. So it's a shame because the Ghostbusters franchise could have gone. Have you ever played the Ghostbusters video game?
Oh man, I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, Ghostbusters. I had an Amstrad. Like, we're an Amstrad family.
I had a Spectrum.
8-bit, 64-bit. I can't remember. And we had the game, and it was incredibly basic, but you know, play it to death.
No, but I'm talking like recent years, like the PlayStation.
What, the real Ghostbusters kind of game?
No.
There was a real Ghostbusters game as well.
What
computer game.
Like of the cartoon?
Yeah.
No, but I'm talking like maybe 5-6 years ago, maybe
Right.
longer actually, 10 years ago. They got all the original cast back together to record new dialogue. They had a plot. Obviously, you play this gameplay. You get to be a fifth Ghostbuster,
Yeah.
and you play alongside the other Ghostbusters, and it's a very great game. But there's so many cutscenes. It's almost like this is the an interactive Ghostbusters 3, and they do a lot. They say they revisit some of the same monsters.
Right.
It's evil Shandor again,
Yeah.
but it's and treat you to play it because it's very even the dialogue of the the other characters when you're playing. Sometimes you go and do a mission just with Peter. Sometimes it's you fight with all of them. You
Sounds
get to
great.
trap the ghosts. It's amazing. It's a great story. It would have made a brilliant film if they'd made it. And then I think I can't remember if it's IDW that does it. There's a Ghostbusters graphic novel series.
Right.
I don't know if you've read it. I'll give you a loan of it.
No.
6 parts in the hardback. Again, they do great things with the franchise and with it, and it disappoints me even more playing the game and reading that and the possibilities of where it could have gone, and then to see the kind of schmaltzy jerk fest that we actually got. I know you liked it, and I did like it at the time.
Yeah.
I was almost crying, but then I was like, wait a minute.
I should have. Yeah, you felt as if you'd been used a little. Do
Slimed.
you think that story? Do you think you felt funky?
I did.
Did you? Do you think that storyline, the slightly heavily manufactured storyline we're talking about for Afterlife now, then, you've changed my feeling on the movie. It's went from a 9, it's went to a 7. Do you think that storyline?
I just love diminishing people's joy.
You've done it.
If I can take that little spark of peace that you've got and fucking crush it.
Do you think that storyline turned up anywhere in some of the graphics, or maybe even the real Ghostbusters or something? Because where the fuck did that
in the
idea come
comic
from?
actually, in one they do go.
They go out
sticks,
west.
but it's a Ghostbusters International. I think they
Yeah.
go on like a Ghostbusting tour and they end up, but it's nothing.
But it's not like
connected
the Ghost Worshippers.
No.
Who played Igor Shandor in the new movie? It was a really.
Was it someone we should know?
Recognisable actor. Yeah. I was shocked to see him in there.
Excuse us. Let's bring.
Just chuck that.
Want this?
Mhm.
Is that mine? That's mine.
I mean, he had a very small role, but it was certainly one. It wasn't Bill Nye or anything like that.
No, it's still recording. I just had a panic that we've been sitting here for a very long time. Oh shit! For a very long time, just talking to ourselves, which would have been entertaining. I'm not denigrating it. It's been a really fun conversation, actually.
It's
I
rambling.
hope you agree.
Evil Shandor.
Evil Shandor.
Evil Shandor was.
Well, who
played
plays him?
by-
I bet it was no one we've ever heard of.
No.
It'd
Seriously,
be
it
Ted
was.
from catering or something like that. Who just got dragged in.
Who's the actor?
Because did he speak?
Yeah, he had a couple of lines there after they woke him up.
And then he just sort of, what happened? He just sort of went back to sleep again.
No, I think he got
Zapped?
fucked up. Is Evil Shandor real? Well,
Who knows? So yeah, well, Gareth's looking for that. So basically, the kids,
I was surprised to see that.
end up trying to take on the ghosts and finishing
J.K.
Egon's work.
Simmons.
Was it J.K. Simmons?
J.K. Simmons.
Oh, bloody hell!
Not my tempo.
Shit!
I know.
How did I not clock that?
Yeah. Small role.
Yeah,
you know?
how did I not clock
Fucking
that?
small role for a guy like that.
He's amazing. And in fact, Jesus, have you ever seen Oz?
Not
the
Oz.
Wizard of Oz. The HBO prison drama
No.
from
No.
Jesus Christ, it's brilliant. Really would entreat you to
He's
watch
special
that.
in it. Main part.
J.K. Simmons plays Vern. I can't remember his second name. I was going to say Troyer, but that's the
Vern
guy that plays
Presser.
Mini-Me. Vern. I can't remember, but Winston.
Zeddemore?
Not Winston Zeddemore. Oh, Ernie Hudson
Yeah.
is the governor of the prison in it.
Mhm.
So
Alright,
that's
cool.
a kind of wee. You should watch that. It's great.
Well, tie-in. I mean, J.K. Simmons has been a
Oh, he's prolific.
theatre actor, prolific guy, and you know, when you see him in Whiplash, you think, "Oh right, yes." I mean, I've seen this intensity before, but his performance in Whiplash.
I've never seen Whiplash.
Does it stand up to a second and third viewing? I mean, it's one of the most exhilarating, it's exciting movies the first time you watch it. And it's like, well, we could have another podcast chat about that, but you need to see it first.
I need to watch it.
It's phenomenal. He is incredible in it, and all kudos and credits to that man. He deserves everything he gets, even a 5-minute part in Ghostbusters Afterlife.
I'll watch. Let's do that. I'll watch Whiplash.
Absolutely, it's a great movie.
The performances in the film. So the kids are fighting the ghosts, and the Ghostbusters do turn up. And at first I thought, oh fuck's sake, the Ghostbusters are going to come in and save the day. They don't. The kids are ultimately the ones that do it. But it was nice. I got a kind of, whoa, it's the Ghostbusters.
It was incredible to see them. I didn't think Bill was going to be there. He gets more haggard looking every time you see him. I mean, you thought it couldn't get worse after Lost in Translation. What was that, 25 years ago or something?
A very, very good. That is, if not in the top 10, it's in the top 20. I love that movie.
It's one of my top.
It's amazing.
20 movies. Yeah.
It's amazing. The mood, the feel. It's almost like Japan as a character in it.
Yeah.
Like it's beautiful. Really beautiful. That movie gives me the feels.
It's a stunning piece of work, and Bill was absolutely just incredible in it. And we're watching Ghostbusters, and then
for a relaxing time.
Why are close fists? So
lip them.
Lip tight.
Oh, Bob Hayes.
So
is that racist?
Going on.
Quote the film.
Oh well, thanks, because you took some of the heat off me.
Fuck it, let's do the last 5 minutes in blackface.
Sorry. Let's just pause it now and we'll come back. Bill Murray, Ghostbusters, important guy. I mean, when you're 5, you don't really understand the sort of hip, the jive of the guy. I mean, and afterwards, as you get older, you start to, discover his work. Work that was done. I'm going to say before. Yeah, before. I mean, I'm not talking about the Saturday Night Live stuff. Stripes. Caddyshack was a big one for me.
Yeah.
Huge one for me. I wasn't getting taken to the cinema to see that when I was 5.
Do you know what? We should let's save this because we could do a Bill Murray. I'd love to rewatch all Bill Murray's best films because
top roles.
Do you know Groundhog Day's in the top 10. Lost in Translation is in the Scrooged is good, but I don't know.
Is it not? I mean, it's Christmas time. Are you not going to be putting Scrooged on?
I think so. We were talking about this in the last podcast with my sister actually, and you mentioned to me today a Christmas film that had completely slipped my mind as a Christmas film.
Yeah,
Gremlins.
Of course.
I had a debate in work today actually. Their opinion was that Christmas movie. I was like, it's got fucking Christmas trees, it's snowing, it's Christmas time.
It's more a Christmas movie than Die Hard.
Yeah, Die Hard.
I don't think it's a Christmas movie. I'm just a dick that way. I mean, I've been on. Maybe that's why I never watched the 2016 thing, right? So for Ghostbusters, right? At the time, I was on quite a few online movie chat boxes, where everyone pisses their pants because they're gonna fucking make James Bond make James Bond into Idris Elba. No, and so at the time there was a lot of displeasure about the Ghostbusters 2016 remake. Since then, I've heard the likes of Kermode singing its praises, and I don't take everything that Kermode has to say about movies, but generally we are aligned. He killed Afterlife. He slaughtered it.
Really?
He slaughtered it. I don't know, he wasn't invited to the premiere, I don't know what the crack is there.
You're diminishing this guy's body of work by saying he's a petty, jealous little
he's
man.
60 odd now, and you know how these film critics go. He loved The Force Awakens. So I have an issue with what he's saying in terms of the copy and paste lift mentality of Afterlife, saying that's terrible when there's been no more blatant effort than The Force Awakens to completely copy almost page for page.
I feel the same. I liked Force Awakens, I didn't really like Afterlife on reflection.
I don't get
Why
it.
is that though? There must be a logical reason because I'm sometimes quite a logical guy. Maybe it's because I hold Ghostbusters dearer. I mean, we were of an age. I was a Star Wars fan, but I was never lived, breathed, ate and sleep Star Wars.
The culture of Ghostbusters was not as everywhere in the street. You didn't go to Young's and Falkirk to pick up a Ghostbusters toy at the time. Star Wars was everywhere. It permeated people in society, everything. It was all consuming. Star Wars. But going back to what I was saying earlier about Ghostbusters, it felt as if it was. It didn't feel as if it was made for me. It just came along at the proper time for me. Like,
likewise.
Yeah, it was, and it was all new. You know, this was something different that they were trying to achieve. And they realised it bloody well. Very good, and it made me appreciate the movie so much. I mean, buying the soundtrack, I would then go and it's a killer soundtrack on Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah, that's true.
Incredible.
That is true.
There's Bobby Brown on the second one, of course, much maligned character now, and it's all his own fault. I believe he's to get a walking part in the next Ghostbusters film.
Is he?
No.
Well, you'd be protesting against that for a start. What do you think about the in-universe mechanics of Egon being like, it's never been established that ghosts go to heaven? There's some sort of residual psychic energy come through a portal, they need to be disposed of. All of a sudden we've got a see-through Egon that's having a touching moment with everyone, which I guess...
He's never been put in a trap.
That's what I thought it'd be funny if Bill Murray just sort of looked and went, you know the rules, Egon!
Yeah. So also though, going back to the very end of the movie, Winston's bought the firehouse, all the ghosts are still in that. The ghosts are still in there.
The containment unit.
They're still in there.
Now there you go. Some calamity's going to release them.
Insurance must be crazy. It's Tribeca. Is it not Leo DiCaprio that owns 80% of Tribeca now?
I don't know. I don't know what your source is. I don't keep up with property prices. And
it was either him or Robert De Niro.
New York area.
The pair are pretty much the same guy.
Yes.
Separated by decades. But so what they're going to do? Are they going to park the kids' element?
Ghostbusters.
I think they're going to
Afterlife.
they're going to have to get rid of the.
Not necessarily.
Get rid of the kids, right?
I don't think so. I don't.
Are they all going to come and become Ghostbusters and work out the hook and ladder?
I've got a horrible feeling that's what's going to happen. I did enjoy. I thought Podcast was a really good wee actor. He did make me smile a lot.
He was really cool.
Terrible that I don't know the little girl's name, but the one that played Egon's granddaughter, great performance. Carrie Coon was great.
Is that her mum?
Yeah,
she was really good.
Underutilized. I don't know. Have you ever seen? She was in one of the seasons of Fargo, the TV show.
Yeah.
But have you ever seen The Leftovers?
No.
Holy shit! You've got to. Holy fuck! One of my favourite TV shows of all time. 3 seasons, HBO. It's basically Thanos. It's the Snap, but without like space heroes and a big red guy getting decapitated. It's the premise is 10% of the world's population just one day vanishes, just 10%. Blinks out for no explicable reason. There's no force behind it. And
is this after Endgame? Before Endgame?
And it's a very.
I'm pretty sure Endgame was written down and recorded in, I don't know, the 60s or something like that. That's new material.
I don't know enough. Maybe
most
it's
of these
been one of the
comic
graphics.
book things have already been tread upon in the comics mostly.
Probably, yeah, most of them have. But watch this, because Carrie Coon is a mum. Her 2 kids and her husband are blinked out, and it's all about. It's not an explanation of why it happened or what the phenomenon is. It's the way that society deals with that in the wake of it. It's the cults and religions that grow up out of it. It's the guilt and the grief and the loss that people have to process. Christopher Eccleston's in it too.
Do you know, I don't think I've seen her in anything before, but you know, she came across as someone kind of recognisable, good actress.
She's a fucking phenomenal actress.
She certainly played a really fucking
bitter,
terrible mother really well.
But we've established he could have reached out. Egon could have easily said, well, I've got till 2021, maybe I'll go and spend 6 months with my fucking daughter.
No, like you say, it must have just been on a hair trigger that she was going to come back, or the big Stay Puft guy. What did you think of the little Stay Puft people? I mean, that scene where Podcast is taking care of them, that's good.
That is good, yeah, that is good. And I liked, if that Paul Rudd scene in the supermarket had been a piece of like fan-made fiction, just like a little short film, I'd be like, oh, it's great. It kind of seemed gratuitous.
It was odd, yeah.
The kids enjoyed it, and I guess that's the point. They're in the same bracket as Baby Yoda.
It's odd, actually, because
that would make them cloying, man.
Yeah, exactly. When I was 6 or 7 years old, I remember being in some horrendous hotel up in Aviemore, I think, and it was pissing with rain, holiday in Scotland, and getting a bag of marshmallows and cocktail sticks and making lots of little Stay Puft Marshmallow men.
Nice.
So I probably got there before
They basically stole the idea from
the
you.
young Reitman. Well, they kind of came in and they took it when I was sleeping.
So, let's wrap up. Let's summarise then. Ghostbusters Afterlife. Final comments.
Incredibly good fun at the time when I was there. I was really enjoying, that nostalgia jag with my kids as well, who were getting something new out of it as well, a new story. I mean, they were younger than the main protagonists, so they weren't connecting on that level. But there was enough tomfoolery going on. There was a lot of tie-in to the original film. You're making me think it was not as good as what I did when I was there.
No, you have
and I was emotional, yeah.
Me
But let's put it on record here that I got very emotional during Boss Baby as well.
Oh fuck!
But there's something to be said for being 42 and two young kids, and then Boss Baby had that little brotherly dynamic, and for whatever reason, I think Jake had just been born, and Heather and I were maybe sleep deprived, but yeah, we cried at Boss Baby. And that's like a kind of weird badge of shame stroke honour. But, it took me back to my childhood. I think the weekend after I felt compelled to watch another 80s classic, which is a huge favourite of mine, which is Planes, Trains and Automobiles.
Oh, yeah.
Which for me has been a tearjerker every time.
Yeah, it's sweet.
Yeah.
Obviously the scene in the car rental place is the best.
Absolutely.
I want a fucking car right fucking now.
Yeah.
Or you can probably quote it chapter and verse.
Ben and Jake were loving that scene. It takes us back to last New Year where we were really short on things to do with them, and we ended up watching a kind of recap of Billy Connolly's life rather. And
the kids watched little clips of
at the end of it, Ben didn't laugh much. Turned around and said that he said the F word 36 times. So it's a good education. It's a good education. He was counting them all up.
Good counting, good mathematics. That's
was
not what
very
you
good,
expect
aye.
from a Billy Connolly
Yeah.
experience. But
So, again, getting back to Afterlife, I think it's really decent. I maybe want to love it more than the sum of its parts. And seeing the guys back together again is amazing. All old.
That was nice.
But yes, I thought it was a really fun couple hours in the cinema.
It was worth seeing. I'm glad I saw it. It is a kind of bookend. A bit empty and cynical in a way, but it worked. It had its effect on me. It was only in retrospect. So I'd say it's worth seeing. It's not horrible and cringeworthy and like the 2016 one is.
Not at all.
It's
Exactly.
nice. It's just nice.
And I think it would be more difficult to get through if the original characters had more of a hand in it. I really do. I just think it wouldn't have worked. They couldn't have done half the stuff that they couldn't have done half the stuff that the kids had to do in order to get rid of these spooks, right?
I would like to see how the Ghostbusters relate
they can't
to the
walk,
past.
they can't
and
run.
I know there's comedy in that.
Yeah.
There's fun in Bill Murray being really unpleasant to kids. That would be enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's okay.
Although on reflection, and certainly after this podcast, I think probably Ernie Hudson could have had more lines to say.
I'm not going to edit the first bits out. I thought you were going to say, do you know what, it was a great film until fucking Winston turned up. Just in the last 5 minutes I thought, we've got through this whole movie, there's not been a single black person. Boom, ruined.
He was in the poster for the second movie, so...
What's he crying about? Man up, Ernie Hudson, you bitch.
So really, all the views are not mine. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Bustin makes us feel good, but we have different feelings of good about this movie. And
so what are you going to score it? You going to score? Do we do scores? Do you want to do a score?
Oh, we can do it. I hadn't really thought about it. Yeah, go on, give it. You said you were dropping to 7.
Yeah, but I'm going back up to 8.
You're going to 8?
Yeah. Which after a break of, how many years is it now? 20 years since the second one, or 25? 25 years since Ghostbusters 2. It does a grand job of, Bringing these guys back into life. You're going with a 6. You're jumping in with a 6.
I was going to say 5, but I thought that sounded uncharitable.
I know, and you don't want to be wrestling about on the floor with me here having a fight. But 6, I think we can live with that, yeah?
Yeah, so
it lives between 6 and 8.
So really on the median score is 7.
Correct.
That's good. So leave your own comments in the comments bit about what you thought of Ghostbusters Afterlife. Both of you. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. I enjoyed that.
Maybe this is feels odd actually, not being so absolutely shit scared about speaking potentially to 2 or 3 people online.
You're just speaking to me and,
yes.
and
yeah, no.
my mum.
For someone who talks the most amount of shit possibly ever, and people have said that a lot of times about me. I have a rational fear of speaking, but not just sitting here with you. I did feel a little bit more comfortable whilst I was physically straddling you, so maybe that's something we can build on for the next one.
Maybe you could sit in my lap next time.
Yeah.
You don't have a little ventriloquist stomach.
But thanks for having me, and
That's all right,
here's to the next one.
Here's to the next one. Gareth, thank you.
Jamie, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.